All right, good morning, everyone. We're just going to give it a minute or two to make sure that we've got any last minute people joining in on the call before we get started. Welcome, everyone, to our monthly webinar series. Like I said earlier, we will be talking about our projectors and really also introducing our Teacher Way projector education program. Before we get started, I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping items with you guys. We will be recording this session and we will be sending out a follow-up email with the link to the recording. So if for any reason you can't stay through the call, we'll make sure that you get the recording. If you have already registered, again, you will be getting the recording also. We are going to be giving out a special 5 giveaways, which is the Halo screen bar at the end of the session. So please make sure you stay through the webinar to be, what's the word? To be registered and to be able to enter your name in the drawing for that. We also want to let you know that all the presentation that we're gonna be sharing during the webinar will be provided to you in our follow-up email for you to download and have at the end. If you have any questions, you are more than welcome to input in the chat box, and we will do our best to answer as the presentation goes. And at the end of the presentation, we will be opening the floor for a short Q&A. So you can either add your questions to the chat box or hold it off at the end. We'll be more than happy to answer all your questions at the end. With that, I am going to hand off the presentation floor to Bob, as he's going to go over and talk about our awesome award-winning projectors and our program.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Bob Woodek. I'm Senior Director here at BenQ, and excited to talk about projectors. About half of the schools, according to a national survey, use projectors, so it's a critical part of projector technology. We've got some good stuff to share here. So our agenda is, first off, how can we create a better classroom projector? Projector's been around for a long time, and so we'll talk about resolution, accuracy, and most importantly, for many schools, cost of ownership. The other thing we'll talk about at the end is, what is the best choice? So we'll talk about the positives and trade-offs for that. So first off, a better classroom projector. So projectors have been around really for 20 years. It's been a staple of schools, and there hasn't been a lot of innovation in projectors until recently. But there are a number of areas that need to be addressed for projectors, and we'll walk through them a little bit. Now, the first thing, and this is kind of a controversial statement 2 years ago, but not now, lamp projectors are basically done. For a typical lamp projector that's in a school, if something goes wrong, according to the federal government, you have to treat that mercury lamp as hazardous waste. And so there's a whole guidance and sets of regulations concerning if a lamp breaks, if a lamp needs to be disposed about. It's not just like the old light bulb. It creates a problem for schools, both in acquiring and disposing and cleaning up a lamp. For that reason, Europe has decided we're done. We don't want mercury lamps anymore in the entire continent of Europe, and so they have enacted legislation to phase out mercury lamps out of the entire continent of Europe. And after they did that, the state of California said, you know what? We'd like that idea as well. So California has done the same thing. They've enacted legislation to eliminate mercury lamps. Now, for all of you folks who have mercury lamps in your projectors, and when you look to see who is going to be making those mercury lamps, one of the largest companies that makes that is Osram. And Osram said in their investor presentation, we don't like them either. We are going to replace mercury lamps with LED and lasers. And this is actually from their investor presentation this last year. So the writing is on the wall about mercury lamps, and how have schools reacted to these types of things? Because a lot of this isn't new news, it's old news. They keep buying them. 3 out of 4 projectors that have been purchased over the last 3 years have mercury lamps. This is a problem because all of these lamps are going to be obsolete, and all these projectors are going to be obsolete, and it's going to get harder and harder to support them in the schools. So schools have to change. Now, one of the things that when they look at changing is they look at resolution. And now I've stacked up 4 types of displays that are in schools. So you have TVs, and this is just an inexpensive Walmart TV that costs a few $100s. You have projectors, which typically are considered high resolution. You have a MacBook Air with a 13-inch screen. And while this is not really a school display, but it is found in a classroom, you have an Apple Watch that is also a display. So how do these resolutions stack up? Well, the first thing is I made a mistake, because it turns out that the MacBook Air actually has more resolution than a classroom projector. How much more? Glad you asked. A lot more. A typical TV, and this is, again, the inexpensive TV sold at Walmart today, has 8 million pixels, 8.3 to be exact. The MacBook Air with the smallest screen, the least expensive MacBook Air, that screen on a 13-inch screen has 4 million pixels, a lot. When you go to the typical projector that's sold and used in a classroom, according to FutureSource, that projector barely has a few more pixels than the Apple Watch that might be on the wrist. Well over 80% of projectors used in schools in the last 3 years have under 1 million pixels. Considering that the every TV has been sold for the last few years has 8 million, we think this is unacceptable. And it's a great opportunity for schools to look at how they can make their projectors higher resolution and easier to read. Now, the other problem that has been around for a long time and is still around, even with laser projectors, is these old projectors, and even some of the newer ones, still turn yellow. And I don't know which models turn yellow or which ones don't, but I was at Rice University and I walked into the student center and I looked up and I saw this image, and I was with the IT manager and I go, that doesn't look right. Look at the lower left-hand corner. And he's like, yeah, it's turning yellow. And I'm like, how old is that projector? A little over a year. It's a modern laser projector. And so even some laser projectors turn yellow. And the other thing they complain about is, like, it's got filters still. It requires constant maintenance, constant filter cleaning. And this one was up about 15 feet above the air. So that's a long ladder, a lift, or something like this. So projectors maintenance and the projector reliability is something schools have endured for decades, but now we can change that. Now, one of the other points that if you talk to teachers, they use a lot of video. In fact, teachers use a lot of video. 97% of teachers, according to Kaltura, use video regularly. It's a primary teaching tool. So therefore, our projector should be aligned to be able to use that video content effectively. But the reality is, virtually every popular classroom projector sold in North America, they don't even have HDR. And yet, you cannot buy a camera at B&H Photo or your local camera store that doesn't have HDR, and that's been around for 5, 6, 7 years. So video content is being encoded with HDR. It's there ready to be used in the classroom, but a traditional classroom projector, no, we don't think it's important. We want to change that. So we want to talk about a few new projector technology breakthroughs that have happened in the last few years. Now, they all didn't happen this year, but at TCEA and FETC, these two big trade shows, this was a very, very popular topic of discussion for people who visited our booth because they didn't know about these technologies and they didn't understand them and they wanted to learn more. So we thought we'd share with you a couple of things. First of all, solid state lighting. If you remember on the Osram investor presentation, they said, yeah, we're getting rid of mercury lamps and we're going to replace them with lasers, which we've all seen laser projectors since 2012. And probably the technology you're watching this webinar on, LED. The vast majority of monitors have LED technology. Virtually every TV has LED technology. And we believe going forward in the future, virtually every classroom projector will have LED technology. Why? Two reasons. One, just like in your monitor and on your television, LED deliver unbelievable color performance. It is without question the best color light source for projectors ever invented. BenQ believes in it so much, we have 20 models, and we're not the only brands that have this, but we are a market leader in LED projectors. So that's a big change because now we have two options. We have solid state lighting in lasers, which can get us up to 10,000 lumens, but now we have affordable solid state lighting in LED that gives us great classroom level brightness at a very low cost. The second technology breakthrough is sealed. Remember that Rice University, that projector was 15 feet up in the air. It's not easy to get up there to maintain the filters. And sealed projectors eliminate the need for filter cleaning. But more importantly, in a laser projector, in a solid state lighting projector, they also eliminate the damage being caused by dust. Now, if you remember on the last slide, BenQ has been making laser projectors since 2012. And in 2012, we learned very quickly that when dust gets hit by a laser, it's not like a lamp. It vaporizes the dust. And that dust floats around the projector and lands somewhere. Now, one particle of dust isn't going to damage the projector, but over a few years, millions of particles of dust certainly can. And so therefore, all of the BenQ projectors are now sealed. Every single laser projector we make. And they're certified using the industry standard IP5X test, which means that it goes into essentially a toxic environment that simulates a lifetime of dust, and the projector goes to a standard test and has to pass before we can sell it. Now, to one of our competitors' credit, NEC, they've also done this, and they've done this with different technology, both with DOP and LCD projectors. So it's not like it's a BenQ exclusive technology, but it is a technology breakthrough. So if you're going to be buying or considering a projector, keep in mind that many of the brands have converted over to sealed laser projectors and sealed projectors using LED, and some brands have not. They still use the same type of filtering technology they used on lamps 20 years ago. So that's a breakthrough because now it's affordable. Speaking of affordability, according to numerous sources, the amount of electricity that projectors use in a classroom is enormous. Now, schools spend more money on electricity for lighting, and schools spend more money for electricity on heating and air conditioning, but projectors are right up there. And one of the reasons is because a typical projector will use 300, 350, up to 400 watts, is because the way that a traditional classroom LCD projector works is essentially like a car, where you have the gas mashed down to the floor, and when you want to do something different and slow down, you don't let up on the gas, you just use the brake. So for example, here you see the purple BenQ logo up in the upper right-hand side. In this type of architecture, if I want to have purple, I need all red and I need all blue, and I don't need any green. So the gas is mashed down to the floor, and we put the brakes on the green, and the red and the blue get to go through. Therefore, we have purple. That's been a nice thing for 20 years with projector lamps. But With LED and lasers, we have a lot more control over the power that the individual colors are using. We're not just using white lamps. So BenQ has invented a technology called Smart Eco. And instead of using one giant accelerator gas pedal to power the projector, we use 3. And instead of using all the power for each colored light, we can adjust the power for each 1/60th of a second, each frame of the projected image that you're watching. Each light level can be adjusted. So you can see here, maybe on the left side, there's an ocean scene or a picture like the background with an ocean or something like that, where I have a lot of blue, but I don't have a lot of red and green. We simply let off the power gas on the red and the green. Maybe as I go to the right, I'm using more white, which requires all the colors to be at high levels. And of course, my power level goes up. But if I'm using something with a sunset or something like that, maybe just I only need red. And so as the content changes, the power usage changes. And it's a smart technology that enables schools to save money by reducing the amount of power of the projector without reducing the brightness. How much can you save? Well, let's take a look here. So I pulled 3 popular projectors that have been sold in classrooms. I looked on projectorcentral.com. All of these are popular projectors. All of these brands are well recognized in schools. And I picked a 4,000 lumen 1080p projector model. And this is according to their spec sheet. So the NEC model there has 330. The Epson has 345-ish, and the Hitachi one a little over 370. So you can see they all basically are in that power range, and there's probably more, but if I want a 4,000 lumen 1080p projector now with Smart Eco technology, how much power can I use? We just took the new LH650 projector that we announced last week, hooked it up to a power meter, ran at full brightness, and we're running between 189 watts and 205 watts. And that's an exact photo of this. And with Smart Eco, we can get even better because the algorithm is getting more and more intelligent, where we can save 10, 20, 30, maybe even up to 40%, depending on what the background of the slide is. So this is a technology breakthrough that's still in the new phases, but you can see 4,000 lumens, 1080p, same resolution. That's up to 50% less. Maybe not quite 50%, 40%, 30%, a lot less. Those are real savings that mount up every day, every week, every year to a school. Okay, so those are the technology. We've seen the problems, we've seen the new technology. How does this come together? And so what we've done is create a projector program called Teach Your Way. And the basic concept is quite simple. Let's offer schools more advanced projectors at great pricing and enable it to make it easy to buy. So every Teach Your Way projector has solid state lighting. Now we make projectors with mercury lamps, but they're going to basically be close to the same price as you will get for solid state, which means I can get a 20, 30,000 hour lamp life for the same price I would get for 5,000 or 6,000 hour lamp life. They're all 100% maintenance free. Many brands have 0 maintenance free projectors, and they're sold in schools. Every BenQ projector is maintenance free, sealed, no filters. Now here's a surprise. Every single one has Rec 709 color accuracy. So in the past, projector colors might not be that very good. They might be dull or they might be oversaturated. So because commercial projectors and simulation projectors and many of our popular projectors require accurate images, and we make monitors and displays that are color accurate, we've decided that we are going to have every BenQ projector have Rec 709 color accuracy. Remember that Walmart TV for a few $100s? It has Rec 709 color accuracy. And we're one of the only projectors that have Rec 709. 3-year warranty, no restrictions. We'll talk about that later. And of course, BenQ is known with the TI DLP chip. They never turn yellow. This is the same technology used in digital cinemas, and the only technology that's used in commercial digital cinemas because of its reliability. Now, most of these, you'll see most of these models here will also support HDR. Most of them are rated for 24/7, which is also a new thing. You can put a Wi-Fi dongle on these to make them Wi-Fi ready, and you can see some of the other things. But my favorite part is they cost less than $1,000. You can get a Teach Your Way projector that has all of these things, or most of these things, for barely over $800. And that's about the same price as a lamp projector with a lamp. And these projectors have won a lot of awards, not just one, not two. This last 12 months, we've won 8 different awards for our projectors, for the projectors you're going to see in here. And it's because these people have looked at this and go, this is exactly what schools need. These are the best projectors you can buy. Now, are they really the best projectors you can buy? So let's just take a look at this, right? So are they better than what you have out there? So we'll use the same example of that 4,000 lumen 1080p projector, and we'll just do a simple comparison, and it's not meant to be a controversial or anything like this, but I picked 3 projectors. So we have a lamp-based projector that's a popular school projector. We have a laser-based projector that's popular, and these are on the Brighter Futures price sheet, so they're sold to schools. And we have our new LH650 that we just introduced. So let's take a look at this on some of the features that we talked about, right? So one of the problems with laser projectors in general is that they're more expensive. They're brighter. So you can see the Epson projector here is 4,600 lumens instead of the 4,000 lumens that the lamp is. But the rest of the features are pretty much the same in comparison to these two, right? So the lamp projector is a lot less expensive. And so you could choose, traditionally up until now, you could choose between either brighter and more expensive with a laser or less cheaper, and you have to deal with lamps. Okay, well, how much more does it cost? Well, if you do the math, if you buy the lamp projector, you can buy 40% more projectors with the same budget by choosing a lamp projector than the laser projector. And that's one of the reasons why schools buy lamp projectors, because other than that, they're the same. Neither one of them support HDR video, can't use them for 24/7, and both of them require filter cleanings. So how does this compare to the 4,000 lumen 1080p BenQ? Well, first of all, the BenQ has a lot of advantages. It has the sealed engine. It can be used for 24/7. It does have HDR video support. It does have Rec 709 color. So it is a more advanced projector in terms of feature specifications. But if you look at the price point, it's not much more than the lamp projector. And it has a laser that lasts for 20,000 hours. So is it really more expensive or is it cheaper? Well, our friends at Cozen have been advocating the use of a total cost of ownership model. And this is a website, and I'm sure most of the people on the call are familiar with it, but if you're not, please go to cosn.org, and there are the best total cost of ownership that virtually all of the major IT managers, at least here in the Dallas area that I've met, they use it. They use it for virtually everything to evaluate how much does a piece of technology cost, including projectors. And we talked to them about projectors and how to calculate this. So, and they yell at me because I put some of these numbers too low. So let's look at a replacement lamp. On the Epson 992 price sheet, it's a $65. That's pretty inexpensive for a lamp. They discounted it. And then there's a dollar amount that you have to use for installation because it's not free. There's no labor that's used in schools for free. So I quoted $35, assuming that you're not using a high-end dealer and nobody's using a van. According to the energy.gov site, that projector will use $91 of electricity. Ours uses 44. There's 3 to 4 filter cleanings based off of other resources that I've seen out there with how often schools use projectors. I have no idea how often you're supposed to do it, so we put 4. And this is where Kosin yells at me because I underpriced the labor at $20. If a teacher gets on a chair, he's like, that's expensive. If a janitor gets on the chair, that's expensive. If I have to use a ladder, Poway Schools, by the way, in order to clean a filter requires 2 people because they have a ladder and both of them are unionized. So their number is a lot higher. So how much does this really cost using the Kosin TCO model? Well, let's look. Okay. For the first year, they're about the same. The BenQ, in theory, is $5 less. So at the end of the year, you can treat yourself to a pistachio latte and feel really good about it. But the next year and the year after that, the cost of the filter cleaning and the cost of the lamp and the cost of this and the cost of that, they add up. And in 5 years, with only 1 lamp, assuming that that's the only thing that you've had to buy on this model, you've saved $600. Now take that $600 and look at what the cost of the original projector was. Okay, now that's assuming that you can still buy mercury lamps 5 years from now and that they cost $65, which is a vast unknown, right? Who can predict the future? But the BenQ projector, it runs year after year after year after year. And Spring ISD switched from other brands to BenQ, and there's a case study on this, and they reported that our projectors gave them a 97% decrease in projector help tickets. Now that's a TCO that's very hard to put in, but any IT manager on the call, and certainly any teachers whose classrooms have been disrupted because something isn't working, will appreciate that. So, warranty. Now, 3-year warranty, optional 5-year warranty. Ours is the same as virtually everybody in the industry. Very easy to cover this for the 5-year periods, but our warranty language is different. So if you are considering a projector, especially a lamp projector, look at the warranty. You'll see that most of them have an exclusion if you get it in dusty. Many of them have, including some of the most popular brands, have a clause that I don't understand called excessive use. You can't use it continually or excessively, whatever that is. I don't think that will work for a Starbucks espresso machine, but it seems to be in the projector warranties. Other ones have, you can only use it so many hours a day, so many days per year. None of that is in the BenQ warranty. And most importantly, you cannot void the warranty of a BenQ projector by not maintaining it. And that's what I found in a lot of other ones, that they need regular maintenance according to the user manual. So that's great. That's a nice piece of document. How does it play out in the real life? BenQ supports their customers. Now, many of you know BenQ supports their customers because you own BenQ product, but we sell monitors. We sell a lot of things. And PC Magazine recognized BenQ. This is called Net Promoter Score. We have the highest Net Promoter Score of any monitor display out there. And that same customer service team that takes care of our monitors also is supporting our classroom projectors. So you're in good hands with BenQ. So here's the program. And I'm not going to go into all the details here. You can see we show the color accuracy. We show whether it's maintenance free, what the certification is, how long the light, what the resolution is, whether they're rated for 24/7 use, most of the things that many classroom projectors don't have. But here's some other things that our competition may not have. A 4,000 lumen laser projector you can buy quantity 1 of right off the sheet for under $1,000. For $977, you can buy a laser projector with 4,000 lumens. And it's a 1080p resolution, which is twice as many pixels as wide HDA. We also have free mounts with our ultra short throw projectors. When you go and buy most other ones, you have to buy the projector and then you have to buy the mount, and then the mount on ours is really cool. We also have a 30,000 hour LED classroom projector with short throw lens for $827. That is just barely over the cost of a lamp projector. When you start looking at the filters and replacements and do the same TCO we just did on the 4,000, it's a bargain. Now maybe you want to go the other way. Let's do a high brightness projector. BenQ is the only education projector brand that's a top rated one that has a 5,500 lumen 4,000 lumens, 4K. 4K, that means 8 million pixels. Most schools top out at 2 million pixels. BenQ, 8 million pixels, and the price is under $4,000. And if you want to go really bright, 10,000 lumens for under 11,000. So again, a lot of projectors here to look at, and we also have wireless presentation systems. So these are also award-winning to enable teachers to flip their classrooms without putting cables in and run at 1080p and do split screens and all kinds of other things without having to restructure their infrastructure under $1,000. So what's the best choice? Schools are going to have to get rid of all those lamp projectors. What do I do? Do I buy another one and just lock in? The advantage of that is, yes, you can do that, and you'll get the least expensive initial cost for a projector. But then you will be having to deal with purchasing and storing and supplying and disposing of replacement lamps, which if a lamp breaks, you still have hazardous waste. And you have to deal with the filter cleaning, the high power usage, and the fact that most of them are sold are low resolution. And good luck with interactivity on a projector. And I know that's a popular topic for some brands, but we make interactive projectors. We like our boards a little bit better because there's only so much you can do, 4 or 6 touch points, etc. Our new ones don't have great interactivity, 4 or 6 touch points, but they do have a very low initial cost. They're more expensive than a lamp, but that's offset by the fact that you can typically run up to 30,000 hours of projector life, no maintenance. They use a lot less power, which starts saving you money from day one. And your students will find it easier to read because the cost to upgrade the higher resolution with 2 million pixels, even at 8 million pixels, is much, much lower than any other traditional projector brand that's been out there. And that saves schools money. So if you don't have the budget to be able to produce an interactive display, it's a really, really solid choice. Now, interactive displays like the BenQ board offer by far the best interactivity. Instead of 2, 4, 6 touch points on a traditional interactive projector, you're looking at 50. And the hours, they last 50,000 hours. The same technology used in televisions, right? No maintenance, 8.3 million pixels. And the newest ones we showed at FPTC and TCEA now have Google totally integrated into the display. And that gives you maximum curriculum flexibility. So you don't have to have a notebook. You can switch in and load apps on these things. So there's really 3 choices. 75% of schools that already have those lamps are going to need to switch, and BenQ offers you a choice. So which one is the best? I have no idea, but we can certainly help you decide. We have an ebook that we'll send you that walks through all of the things that IT managers look at and curriculum directors look at when they're choosing between a projector and an interactive display. Remember, we surveyed schools earlier this year, hundreds of them, and we found that half of them still use projectors, and some of them want to still keep using projectors. So we want to be able to give you a choice to enable you to teach your way. And we have expert advisors sitting at our call center that help schools from all over the country, all over North America, walk them through these trade-offs. And we have people in the field close to where you are that can actually drive up to your school and show you the difference between a BenQ board and a BenQ projector and answer your questions. So the bottom line is you're not locked into just having a choice between guns and butter, a cheap projector or an expensive interactive display. There are now choices in between that enable the school to teach their way and do what they think is in the best interest for their teachers and student performance. And it's not going to cost you a whole lot of money. And with that, we'll open it up to questions.
Thank you, Bob, for an awesome educational experience today. We appreciate that. We'd like to open the floor for question and answers. You may raise your hand or you may enter your questions in the chat box and we'll be more than happy to take them from there.
Okay, No.
Those are some that were having technical issues during
Okay.
the session.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody attending. We'll send you a copy of the presentation recording. We'll also send you a copy of the ebook. There are obviously articles on the BenQ website for some of these questions. And if you weren't at one of these trade shows and had a chance to see the projectors, we'll have a teal van. Be happy to roll up to your school and show you the difference between a new BenQ Teacher Way projector, BenQ board, and compare that to whatever the technology you're using now.
We did have a couple questions, or one question come in that has a follow-up question to it. Matt Stern is asking, do these have InstaShare within them or work with InstaShare for the projectors?
Yeah, so on these projectors, they have the ability, every single one, to use a wireless dongle where you can connect to InstaShare. So wireless edition is roughly about 25, 30 bucks, if I can remember right. And then you can set that up with InstaShare to be able to send the phone to it. So we give schools the flexibility to be able to add that component in at a very affordable price without having to purchase it up front and not be needed.
Okay.
Hello?
We
Hello?
also have, hi.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello? I wanted to ask a question. To this Bangobo in one of the schools here. Can you please tell me what are the way I can make this Bangobo more beneficial for my students?
I had a hard time.
We're having a really hard time hearing you. Could you possibly enter your question into the chat so that we can answer it for you? I apologize. It's your voice is coming through very muffled.
Okay.
Enter it in, and I will ask Bob for you. We had another question from Paul. Which is your most eco-friendly SKU, and what differentiates it from the other models you've mentioned here?
So right now, our most eco-friendly SKU is the LH650 4000 lumen 1080p projector. It has the best performance in terms of power usage and brightness. It also, ironically, is using about 50% recycled plastic. So the case is recycled plastic, and it has minimal packaging. So it's got an ISO certification that I can't remember the number of. It's a green type of eco projector. So it's very, very green. You'll see more and more of this throughout the product line. Every projector will be updated both with smart eco technology and will be using more recycled plastic and more eco-friendly packaging. Most of our packaging already is eco-friendly, but there's some new technologies and ways you can do this to get additional certifications. And BenQ loves certification. So if we can get an ISO certification, we'll do whatever we have to do to get it. So, and that also helps schools stay green.
Wonderful. We also had one more final question from Jennifer, who was the one on the voicemail, or on voice, I believe, saying her school installed brand new BenQ boards last spring. How did they know if we have the most up-to-date ones?
So if you installed a board this last spring, the newest model is the RPO4 that was just announced at these TCEA and FETC shows. And those are the ones that have the Google integration into them. So the Easy Write software that you have, everything, all of that infrastructure is the same. The new ones have some additional Google software that's integrated into it. So we do continue to improve the technology, and some of the features on your board can be upgraded over time. And other ones like the Google integration have to have a new model.
All right, we had another question come in. Will you please tell me better use of BenQ board in my classroom? I am new to the technology. As far as additional ways to better use your BenQ board, I'm going to share for everyone. We have a platform for you guys to check out called BenQ Academy that can give you all the tips and tricks for you to have access to different ways to utilize your BenQ board, and we'd be happy to help you there. Yeah, and we also have a Facebook community that you're welcome to join, where the teachers kind of share information back and forth about how they're utilizing the board and different ways, different things that they found, and how to utilize it better for their lessons that they're creating.
And of course, the YouTube channel.
Yep, and our YouTube channel. Thank you for that. We also have another question from Peggy. So can Android apps be added, installed on the new boards?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely they can.
And so the new boards have the ability to download apps from Google Play, and depending on how your district wants to do it, the teachers can do that, or the IT managers can download the apps off the Google Play Store and load them on the board for the teacher. So this is also a new feature for the new RP and RMO4 series, is that it enables apps to be loaded. Now, also, all of the BenQ boards that we saw in the last couple of years have the direct single sign-on integration with ClassLink. So there's a roughly 30,000 apps, if I remember right, that schools can subscribe to and link into the board. So your single sign-on just links you automatically into those apps. Yeah. So this is where the teach your way thing kicks in, because we don't take a philosophy that we know that we have the best teaching software out there. We actually want to partner with people like Google and like ClassLink and hundreds of other different developers who are trying to come up with software to run on the board to enable schools to teach their way.
Correct. And then Peggy also asked, older models of the board, can they have apps installed? Well, they've always been able to have apps installed on them. And if you work through a platform like ClassLink or Clever or something like that, you can also access them through an SSO. But previously, all board models that were available are all Android-based platforms, and so all of the apps had to be APK side-loaded. There's not a way to update the boards directly, the older models of the boards directly for the Google integration without adding an additional piece of hardware. No board company can do that. It's a chipset situation. So it would be a matter of whether you added a Chromebox or an OPS or something like that to your current older board for you to be able to have that accessibility. It's a chipset, something that Google has to basically certify for a certain number of years, any hardware that is going to have the Play Store on it, just like your phone. And just like with your phones, if you buy like the Android version 11, you're not going to be able to get whatever comes out on the 15 in 3 years, because it's a chipset situation. So there's not a way for us to back update it. So they have the RP02, Jeff says, and we cannot get the Google integration with the newer, without the newer hardware. However, I know the OPS slot devices are supported. Do you have one that we could suggest? Jeffrey, I'm going to have someone from our team follow up with you. We are working on a Clever integration right now, just so that you're aware. You asked about a Clever integration as well as our ClassLink. We are working on that, and we should have that for you shortly. And I will have someone from our team follow up with you regarding your question regarding the slot in. I don't have one I can rattle off the top of my head to you at this very second, but we can get you some information on that. And Peggy, I'm sorry, that wasn't the answer you were looking for. If there are any other questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we're going to wrap things up. I want to thank Medea and Bob for hosting for us today, and for Bob for presenting. Thank you all for joining us. We will be, as Medea mentioned at the beginning, sending out a recording of today's webinar. We will also be sending out that white paper or that ebook that we were discussing during the session, during the presentation. And we will also be selecting our winners for our Screen Bar Halo for the raffle from all of our attendees today.
All right, thanks for hosting and answering all the questions, Bob and Carly. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up and give you back some time on your calendar, and we will see you back again next month. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next month. Thanks.